Valve. Really the only reason any of us are here. Think about it, would anyone still be watching these videos if they sounded like CPV Manufacturing has finally restocked their supply of O-Seal hand valves? So anyone putting together a plumbing project anytime soon, check out the referral link down below for a 10% discount on your next purchase order. Now onto Community Valve. No one would be watching this. So since Valve does exist in this reality and a year has recently come to a close, I feel it is a good idea to recap all of the major events of 2016 to remind ourselves that yes, this multi-billion-dollar business is still doing things, just not necessarily all the things we want. The year opened with rumblings regarding Team Fortress 2 Competitive finally being introduced into the game, and it was confirmed with a beta sign-up program and the promise of specific people being given beta passes, and the rest being added into so-called stress tests, which really meant that up until the last week or so, only about 70 people had passes. All of this testing led to the first major update being released in July. Team Fortress 2 received a total of 53 updates, 3 of which being considered major: Meet Your Match, Scream Fortress, and Smissmas. These brought us casual, competitive, a new voice codec, and a split community. Some stating that although the amount of content was small, the quality was high. Others saw it as a sharp decline in quality, as it seems that many of the new features were fundamentally broken in obvious ways. To be fair, most of these major problems throughout the year were fixed in patches soon after the fact. However, as of writing, Smissmas 2016 has yet to receive a bug fix patch 16 days following the initial updates. The TF team also introduced the revised community update guidelines, which quickly gave birth to the popular Frontline and Mayan projects, the latter of which was used to create, in part, the later announced Jungle updates, which, along with Pyro winning Meet or Match, paints a basic picture of what to expect next year. This on top of the comic. Issue number 6 has been teased many different times throughout the year and did not manage to release in 2016. On the flip side, the Counter-Strike Global Offensive team released a total of 76 updates, which is an increase from 2015's 64. 7 of these updates were major, being Operation Wildfire, MLG Columbus, the Chroma Key, Gamma, and Gamma 2 cases, along with a remake to Inferno, paid sprays, and knife gloves. The year was one of monetization, with more loot boxes being introduced since Arms Deal. Wildfire, the largest of the updates, introduced scripted co-op missions along with many variations on contracts. These co-op missions, in conjunction with all of the pre-leaks that occurred throughout the year, somewhat explain the absence of the next operation, as things like new weapons, cosmetics, taunts, remakes, game modes, and a more involved co-op strike mission set are being worked on. So for Counter-Strike, the year was one of incubation, as all the meaty content seemed to be worked on behind the scenes, and the CS team filled time with small cosmetic additions that hopefully are going towards some interesting additions for updates and operations. Now, it should be noted that following paid sprays and the community backlash that ensued, the Counter-Strike team started using optional beta branches to test the following Inferno remake. Hopefully the next major update will also get the beta branches, and it wasn't just distraction from paid sprays in the first place. As for Dota 2, 176 updates were pushed, being 47 more than TF2 and CSGO combined. And the theme of Dota 2 being Gabe's favorite child ran throughout the year. However, most should probably know that it is much easier to market a non-first-person shooter in international areas. Starting off the year at 6.86C and ending at 7.01, Dota ended the year incredibly different on both a superficial and meta level. However, I only recently started learning the game full time, and the only update that mattered to me was the introduction of custom game passes. Essentially, the Skyrim paid mod system done marginally better. The system allowed creators of popular custom game modes to make money or possibly a living on their work. However, Valve's laissez-faire attitude striked again when large plagiarism claims swept through the community for months following. And if Dota 2 is Valve's favorite son, then VR is the deity that Valve worships every Sunday morning. Starting the year with neither the Rift or Vive released, rumors swept the community that Valve was going to be spicing up the pot with some incredible hardware or software. However, these ideas only existed because of HTC's marketing team riding off of Valve's name to create community buzz, and never being completely clear how much of the tech was actually Valve's. Here's a hint: only the Lighthouse and Steam VR is Valve. The Vive itself has nothing to do with Valve, it's an HTC product. The majority of the problems consumers had with the hardware hardware, being price not only of the set but of replacement parts, on top of the size and discomfort some felt, are all HTC's doing, which is a shame due to how much Valve is very much believing in the technology. The VR team delivered an uncharacteristic 3 major pieces of software throughout the year, being the VR test bench, the lab, and destinations. The lab being a collection of polished VR team experiments ran in Unity for the most part, and this combined with the many VR Unity plugins released by Valve shows the direction that the team is taking. However, you should keep in mind that the test bench and destinations runs in Source 2, and because of this, they became the biggest source of leaked information in years. I argue is what Valve views as a replacement for communicating. There were 3 times in the year where the community was given a peek at what Valve was working on or had been working on behind the scenes. Starting with the release of the Steam VR Performance Test Bench, players quickly realized that the development version repo, essentially a server housing every major variation of the program, was available for download to the public. A complete analysis of the files found was made back in February, but to recap, textures and maps from Left 4 Dead 3 and Half-Life were found. Some of the files were not for Half-Life 3, however, but it was completely unknown where exactly it placed until the release of Destinations. Originally released to allow the creation of photogrammatic scenes, and now seemed to be an experiment ground moving towards an MMO, had many references in files about Left 4 Dead 3, Half-Life 3, and a new project called HLVR, which became a point of topic for the rest of the year. A few videos have been made about all the references, but to recap, they are all over the place, describing a classic Half-Life experience along with mechanics from games that would not fit alongside Half-Life's formula, which led a few to believe the actual game behind HLVR is completely unknown, and everything we know is the result of controlled leaks. However, it won't be long until we learn what it is, as Valve restarted the Steam Dev Days conference, and during the opening talk, Valve's Greg Comer stated,
"And although that we're not going to treat Dev Days this year as the place or the time to make big product announcements related to the content that we have in development at Valve for virtual reality, I do think that once it comes time to do that next year, that nobody in this room is going to be disappointed about what we have in the works."
Lastly, in a wiki post regarding the importing of models into VR, Valve artist Tristan Reedford, the author of the post, forgot to check his recent places in Explore, showing his Left 4 Dead 3 folder to everyone, quickly being poorly doctored out. And then the year ended, with more hope than how it began, as in the beginning of the year, Valve's longest employed writer, Mark Laidlaw, announced his retirement from the company, leading many to predict the downfall of the Half-Life franchise. Well, I have many predictions for 2017, but those will just have to wait for another video. And this video is sponsored by skins.cash. If you want to be able to get rid of any of your Counter-Strike, Dota 2, or CSGO items or skins, and you want to do it quick, check out the link in the description to be able to sell them. All you have to do is put them up on the website and they will give you a quote, and then you'll just get the money very quickly. Right now, if you use the referral link down in the description below, you will get an added 3% to whatever sale you make on the website. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Valve News Network. Have a good day. Adios.